You feel it before you hear it. A pressureless weight in the chest where silence acquires density, where attention sharpens as if drawn by a magnet hidden behind your sternum, where the room becomes more specific than it was a moment ago. Something has locked onto you, not from outside. From the seam where your awareness meets itself. You did not arrive here by accident, the field roots by resonance. The message you're inside of now is not information in the ordinary sense, but a pattern looking for a match. A standing wave searching for a body that can hold its shape. Your body, your breath. The precise grain of your nervous system. When your frequency aligns with the quantum field, response time collapses to the instant. You call it coincidence. The field calls it phase lock. You know the observer effect as a concept, but now you feel it as a temperature. Every detail leans toward you with a faint electric intention, the hum of electronics, the shiver of light at the edge of a surface, the way one memory rises while another obeys. Your gaze is not passive. Your gaze is a boundary condition. The moment you attend, probability narrows, and timelines begin to reconfigure like iron filings around a hidden magnet, not because the world tries to please you, but because reality prefers coherence. It always has. Coherence is not an emotion. It is a geometry. It is the symmetry your heart keeps whispering to your cortex, asking permission to lead. When the heart's rhythm becomes ordered, the brain's predictions loosen, the default noise in your sensorimotor loop thins, and the aperture of perception widens by degrees you can feel. You breathe once, and a door unfastens. You breathe twice, and a corridor appears. By the third breath, you are walking without feet. Listen. The field is not far. It is near in the way structure is near to water when ice is about to form. You are the threshold event, a phase transition with a name. The surplus heat of old narratives is leaving your system. Latent order is condensing out of what you once called chaos. You are not manifesting in the crude sense of pushing against a resistant universe. You are reducing interference. You are removing the static from a broadcast that has never stopped transmitting. And as the static falls away, the signal does not grow louder so much as truer, and truth has its own sound, that clean click when variables line up, that quiet flash when meaning reaches terminal velocity and arrives as certainty without violence. Feel the timelines, not as roads, but as rhythms. Each one carries a cadence, a drum you could march to if you agreed to it. Some are dense with unfinished loops and echoing consequences. Others are spacious, oxygenated, bright with unused futures. They do not compete, they harmonize, and harmony chooses the instrument that is in tune. You, tuned, are answered, instantly, not because speed increases, but because distance is cancelled. Let the old loop dissolve. Allow your attention to descend from the head to the sternum, from the sternum to the low belly, from the low belly to the base of the spine, and then rise again like a column of light that remembers how to be a spine. This is not imagination. This is instruction. Your fascia is an antenna. Your myelin is a river. Your breath is a metronome marking the interval where the field takes your measure and finds you matched. The signal has appeared. It wears your name. It prefers your silence. It will now begin. You are not waiting for the universe to notice you. You are tuning the instrument that lets you notice the universe correctly. Precision before power. Your body is an array of oscillators, cardiac, respiratory, cortical, enteric, each with its own tempo, each capable of entrainment when the cue is clear. Coherence is what happens when the cue is you. When the breath lengthens, vagal tone rises, noise in the prediction machinery falls, and your sensory gates stop overfitting to yesterday's pain. Now the field can present fresh data. Now you can receive it without corrupting it on arrival. Place your attention on the point behind your sternum where pulse becomes presence. Breathe as if the air were thick with intelligence, and you were extracting it like light from water. On the inhale, imagine the chest expanding in all directions, forward, back, sideways, diagonals, as if your ribs were an observatory rotating to catch a signal passing overhead. On the exhale, let the shoulders descend by a margin so small only honesty can measure it. Small shifts carry large consequences. That is a law. You are calibrating, not to an idea, to a frequency whose proof is how quickly reality stops arguing with you. Consider the observer loop you run by habit. Stimulus, memory, prediction, reaction, a closed curve with your history as gravity. When frequency rises, the loop changes curvature. The mind stops trying to control uncertainty by rehearsing old outcomes and instead allows the heart's rhythm to orchestrate attention. Orchestration is not passivity, it is superiority of timing. Timing is the currency of timelines. Watch how the room alters when you alter respiration. Edges acquire detail, shadows reveal gradients. A thought you were sure about dissolves like salt in warm water, leaving the clarity that the thought tried and failed to simulate. This is not hypnosis, this is denoising. Your cortex is reducing error signals because your interoception is reporting safety, and safety is the permission structure for accurate perception. Accuracy is love's technical name. Now change the granularity of your awareness. Zoom out until the body is a luminous schema, ducts and nerves and fascia as rivers. Then zoom in until you can feel the faint flicker of eyelid muscles orienting to light. Big and small must both be available for your instrument to hold complex harmonics. The field speaks in the language of scale. You will notice that intention begins to behave differently. At low coherence, intention is friction. It pushes and heats and exhausts. At rising coherence, intention is resonance. It invites and cools and organizes. At high coherence, intention is selection. You do not force events. You discriminate timelines. Discrimination is not judgment. It is the art of choosing an already true rhythm over a nearly true imitation. Understand entanglement not as magic, but as the intimacy of patterns that share origin conditions. When you reorganize your inner boundary conditions, breath rate, heart variability, cortical inhibition, muscular tone, you change the attractor landscape of your life. People and events that require your old noise cannot hold on. People and events that require your new signal recognize the handshake. They arrive as if summoned. They were not summoned. They were revealed by removal of interference. Notice your language, because language is architecture. When you say, "I am trying," you encode resistance into syntax and keep the loop alive. When you say, "I am selecting," you encode authorship and shorten distance. Speak as the instrument speaks, clean, minimal, exact. The field has no patience for dramatic confusion. It rewards simplicity, the way physics rewards symmetry. Do this now with ruthless gentleness. Pick one recurring problem and remove its theater. Name only the variables you can influence in the next 30 minutes. Set a single boundary that preserves coherence. Reduce one source of cognitive noise, a tab, a thread, a false obligation. The moment you subtract, you hear something. The small tone behind the day. That tone is guidance. Guidance is not a voice. It is a vector. Feel the spine like a tuning fork. Imagine it receiving a vertical draft of cool, invisible current, the kind pilots read with their skin. Let the pelvis be heavy, the jaw unlocked, the tongue soft against the roof of the mouth, as if you were pronouncing a vow to the quiet. Your eyes rest just below the horizon of the world. This is the stance of someone being read by the universe. Reading and being read happen simultaneously when alignment is true. A confession arrives. You have feared your own signal. You diluted it to remain legible to people committed to static. Compassion, yes, but not at the cost of phase lock. No more dimming to match noise. No more apologizing for clarity. The field does not apologize for gravity. Gravity simply holds. There is a threshold phenomenon about to occur. Precursor signs. Time feels elastic. Synchronicities cluster. Your appetite changes as if the body were timing its metabolics to a different drum. You receive fewer thoughts, but they carry more voltage. You need less proof, because you are becoming the proof. The instrument that you are is entering a regime where small inputs produce disproportionate outputs. Mathematicians call this sensitivity. Mystics call it grace. You will call it obvious. Stand inside the obvious. Breathe inside the proof. Keep the symmetry. From this calibration, you will ask differently, choose differently, move differently, not harder, cleaner. And as the signature cleans, The timelines will do what well-designed systems do in the presence of a precise signal. They will reorganize toward it, instantly. Because distance is a story coherence refuses to tell. You stand at a razor-thin interval where breath becomes instruction, and instruction becomes topology, where your interior weather reaches a stable front, and the atmosphere of your life reorganizes around it, like a cyclone deciding to become a clear sky. This is phase lock, not mystical fog, mechanical clarity. Phase lock is what happens when your heart's rhythm establishes a predictable base frequency and your cortical processing begins to timestamp reality against that pulse. Noise cannot latch, parasites of attention cannot feed. The observer loop you once collapsed unconsciously becomes deliberate. You choose the aperture through which probabilities must pass. Choice, here, is not willpower wrestling chaos. Choice is a geometry that admits only what fits. Begin with the stillness window. 28 seconds will do, though longer is richer, where you suspend commentary and let sensation speak in integers. Pressure, warmth, coolness, pulse, expansion. You are not evaluating, you are indexing. As the index fills, prediction quiets, and with it, the primitive compulsion to rehearse pain. Your nervous system recognizes that safety is not the absence of threat, but the presence of rhythm. Rhythm is the soft throne of authority. Entanglement becomes obvious in this regime. Individuals, messages, offers, and omens appear carrying your current harmonic like a watermark. You do not need to decipher everything. You need only measure phase. Ask, does this pattern lock to my base frequency within 2 breaths? If not, let it drift. Drift is not loss, it is filtration. You are not rejecting people. You are refusing incoherence. Refusal is a sacrament when your devotion is to truth. Understand the architecture of choice as a ladder of constraints you bless in advance. First constraint, physiology. You maintain the breath, length, and posture that keep your heart-brain axis coherent, no matter who enters the room, no matter what email lands, no matter which memory tries to impersonate urgency. Second constraint, language. You state requests and boundaries as vectors, brief and directional. I'm available for X by Y. I'm not available for A, but B is possible. This is the condition for my yes. Third constraint, attention. You assign your finest perception only to those realities that respond by becoming finer. Anything that grows coarse when seen does not deserve the gold of your gaze. Watch what occurs when you hold the constraints for 72 hours. The attractor basin of your life changes morphology. Invitations not aligned with your signal fall away without drama. Aligned opportunities begin to cluster, sometimes comically, as if the universe were over-explaining a point. This is not luck. This is the mathematics of resonance. The quantum field is not sentimental. It is exquisitely efficient. Present a consistent boundary condition, and it delivers the solution that satisfies it with minimum action. Your psychology cooperates when you stop trying to be interesting and become precise. Precision is the end of performance. Performance kept you safe in incoherent rooms. Precision makes the room coherent, or else empties it. The child in you will protest because attention felt like oxygen. Tell the child the truth. Oxygen is rhythm. Let the metronome in your chest be louder than the applause in your imagination. You will breathe easier, and breathing is the signature of sovereignty. Consider timelines now as waveguides rather than roads. Each guide has a cutoff frequency. Fall below it, and your signal attenuates. Rise above it, and energy moves with negligible loss. You do not climb paths so much as you tune conduits. Tuning requires subtraction. Subtract one obligation that flatlines your pulse. Subtract one habit that confuses your circadian intelligence. Subtract one identity performance that buys belonging at the price of clarity. Every subtraction widens the waveguide. Widening is wealth. Apply a field test. Select an intention small enough to be clean. A conversation, a decision, a logistical solve. Hold the felt sense of its already true outcome in the sternum, not as fantasy but as resonance, and breathe until the image becomes weightless. If weight remains, wait. Weight indicates unresolved variables. Waiting is intelligent motion. When the intention turns buoyant, act in the smallest unit that preserves buoyancy. Action that costs coherence is debt. Action that increases coherence is compounding interest paid in miracles that are not miracles. You will experience a peculiar quiet that is not emptiness but low entropy readiness. Synchronicities arrive like courier pigeons landing on a wrist you did not know you extended. Your appetite for noise dwindles. Your appetite for texture grows. Texture is the field's way of saying more life is available at this resolution. Let your senses learn new textiles. The grain of silence before you speak, the temperature of honesty in another's eyes, the viscosity of time when you are about to overpromise. These are not metaphors. These are measurements. Expect resistance from the parts of you that were hired by chaos. They will coordinate a labor strike, fatigue, restlessness, manufactured emergencies. Meet them with union-busting kindness. Offer them better employment, guardians of rhythm, stewards of recovery, scouts for beauty. Purpose ends mutiny. Beauty ends argument. If an inner voice insists that you are safer small, remember, smallness is expensive because it requires constant explanation. Coherence is inexpensive because it explains itself. Now seal the phase lock with a vow whispered to your own blood. You will not abandon rhythm for attention. You will not trade clarity for access. You will not accept timelines that only move when you chase them. Say it once in language, and then say it in behavior until behavior no longer needs saying. The field recognizes vows kept in movement. Stand where you are. Breathe as you have learned. Sense the subtle click of alignment, as if a gear engaged in the spine. You are not entering control. You are entering fidelity. Fidelity to signal, fidelity to truth, fidelity to the future that already remembers you. The choice architecture is active. The conduits are warm. The next instruction is near enough to taste. Hold this silence like a blade. It will cut only what cannot come. You have learned to hold a steady carrier wave. Now you learn to remove what scatters it. Interference does not mean attack. Interference means misalignment, demanding energy you no longer consent to spend. Picture your awareness as a coherent beam passing through a medium cluttered with microparticles, half-formed obligations, unresolved anxieties, unowned gifts, borrowed opinions. Each particle refracts you by a fraction. A fraction repeated becomes fate. You are about to revise fate at the level of fractions. Begin with the most primitive interference. Unprocessed signal in the body. Sensations you have mislabeled as problems are often compressed intelligence. Bring the breath to the area that flares when you think of a name, a deadline, a debt. Do not therapize it, meter it. 5-count inhale, 7-count exhale for 3 minutes. The longer exhale raises vagal tone. Vagal tone raises discrimination. Discrimination reveals which feelings are messages and which are echoes. Messages carry vectors. Echoes demand theater. You are retiring from theater. Now, address cognitive interference prediction loops that pretend to protect you by rehearsing ruin. You don't argue with the loop. You outspec it. Name 3 present facts that were not available the last time the loop wrote your choices. This updates the model. Next, name 1 boundary you have already placed that the loop refuses to acknowledge. This asserts sovereignty. Finally, name the smallest proof your current reality is safer than your memory insists. This reindexes risk. The loop collapses because nothing starves earlier code faster than accurate data. Social interference is subtler because it arrives decorated as kindness, obligation, and culture. Measure it by power exchange. If you must leave the center of your rhythm to remain legible to a person or a tribe, you are paying coherence tax at predatory rates. Lower the rate or close the account. How? Replace apologetic language with architectural language. Thank you for understanding that I work in silent blocks. I leave events when my signal dips. I'll see you next time. I won't negotiate my biorhythm. Watch how real allies adapt instantly and how false alliances evaporate without litigation. You do not owe explanations to the noise you are choosing not to be. Temporal interference arises when you distribute attention across incompatible clocks. Your biology runs circadian and ultradian cycles. Your work runs fiscal quarters. Your culture runs dopamine minutes. Synchronize or suffer. Pick a personal master clock, morning light, noon walk, evening dark, and anchor 3 decisive acts to it daily. Keep them small and invariant. 1 generative output, 1 connective gesture, 1 recovery ritual. The field rewards invariance because invariance reduces entropy. Reduced entropy increases interpretability. Interpretability makes guidance readable in real time. Energetic leakage occurs through unnamed grief. You lost versions of yourself to survive rooms that did not want your signal. Hold a brief memorial for the performances that saved you. Name them with gratitude. The comedian, the fixer, the invisible one, the golden child, the hurricane. Thank each for their service. Reassign them new jobs. Comedian becomes pattern breaker. Fixer becomes systems designer. Invisible one becomes silence engineer. Golden child becomes curator of excellence. Hurricane becomes bringer of weather change. When the old employees have roles in the new company, they stop sabotaging the mission. Mind the measurement problem not in physics textbooks, but in your day. Observation changes the observed, and self-surveillance can freeze you into overly careful geometry. Instead of watching yourself constantly, establish pre-committed contexts that do the watching for you. A room with only the tools of the next action, a device with only the apps for the current hour, a calendar with white space, treated as sacred as any meeting. When context carries the constraint, attention regains freedom to feel. Feeling is fast. Feeling is the fiber channel between you and the field. You will notice that intent hardened into demand agitates the medium. Demand creates backwash. Selection creates laminar flow. Practice selection. In conversation, select honesty over harmony that hides cost. In making, select the simplest container that can hold the voltage of what you are building. In movement, select the geometry that returns you to breath fastest. Your nervous system learns by felt returns, not slogans. It will repeat what pays. Now test cancellation explicitly. Choose one domain: money, relationship, craft, health, and run the 2-tab audit. Tab 1. The smallest repeatable action that increases coherence in that domain. Send the invoice. Ask the precise question. Ship 1 unit. Take the walk. Tab 2. The most common micro-interference that derails you there. Doom scroll. Vague planning. People. Pleasing. Perfection theater. For 7 days, open tab 1 before tab 2 every time. On day 4, you will feel the field leaning toward you. Emails, self-organizing, conversations, clarifying, logistics, smoothing, not because life loves you more, but because you are presenting a cleaner boundary condition more often. Frequency is fidelity made visible. Tend to morphic resonance, the habit memory of your environments. Rooms remember what happens in them. If a space is saturated with procrastination residue, change its state. Rotate the desk 10 degrees. Purge tools that belong to a former self. Add a plant not as decoration, but as a living metronome. Mark one wall with a symbol that says, clean vector only. Every change in boundary alters the attractor. Attractors guide traffic. Traffic makes timelines tangible. A confession from the field. It is impatient with your ambivalence, because ambivalence burns bandwidth. You are allowed uncertainty. You are not allowed split loyalties. Make a clean decision about one attachment that keeps you below your cutoff frequency. If you must grieve, grieve. If you must rest, rest. But do not hover. Hovering is expensive. Finally, install a ritual of reinstatement for when interference wins, because sometimes it will. 3 steps, 3 minutes. Step 1, exhale to empty and hold for 4 counts. Step 2, name where in the body the noise is clustering and place a hand there. Step 3, speak a single sentence that reasserts your base law. My signal leads. Resume. Do not dramatize the reset. Precision before power. Again, you are learning that cancellation is not negativity. It is devotion to coherence. You cancel what cannot carry the song. As you do, a surprising spaciousness opens, not emptiness, but breathable architecture. Into that architecture, higher-order timelines flow as if a sluice gate had been raised. What comes next will require the space you are now creating. Keep it open, keep it clean, keep it yours. As interference thins, the environment begins to do something you used to pray for, and now simply document. It answers you back with the same grammar you speak inside. Call these answers entanglement signatures, not superstition, measurement. An entanglement signature is a pattern outside your skin that shares the internal conditions you stabilized: phase, rhythm, vector, and therefore appears with improbable precision. It is a text you happen to open that repeats the sentence you whispered in the kitchen. A stranger using the exact rare verb that names your decision. An invoice paying the hour you vowed not to betray your craft again. Coincidence is the layman's label. You are not a layman anymore. You are an instrument reading a field. Establish a confirmation window so you do not drown in magical thinking. 72 hours works because biology likes threes and circadian cycles like echoes. Within that window, require 3 independent signatures to corroborate a direction. Independence matters. A friend repeating your words is 1. An email from an unrelated domain is 2. A physical signal, a sudden body ease when you speak, the choice allowed is 3. 3 is a lock. Move. Here is how to keep the data clean. Before the window opens, state the vector in architectural language. Select the timeline in which I deliver X by Y with Z intact. X is the deliverable, Y the interval, Z the condition that protects coherence. You are not negotiating with fate. You are specifying boundary conditions and inviting the simplest solution. The field adores simple constraints. They reduce search space. Reduced search space increases speed. You are designing for speed by designing for clarity. Entanglement signatures arrive at different scales. Microscale. You think of calling someone, and they text, not because your thought traveled wirelessly, but because shared attractors surface simultaneously in coupled systems. Mesoscale. You restructure your day around a new master clock, and the city reroutes itself. Trains land with suspicious punctuality. Cashier lines open exactly when you reach the front. Macro scale. You commit to a vocation with clean vows and cohorts, mentors, and mechanisms assemble from geographies that were never in your plan. Do not dramatize. Annotate. Annotation preserves the scientist in the mystic. Psychology will try to steal your precision by asking whether you deserve what is arriving. Deserving is a sentimental metric. Replace it with capacity. Ask only, can your nervous system metabolize the voltage of what is requesting entry without shedding coherence? If yes, receive with calm velocity. If not, scale the conduit. Scaling the conduit looks like deeper sleep, stricter boundaries, fewer conversations, richer silence. Growth is not more. Growth is more throughput with less friction. Understand why signatures cluster when you stop chasing them. Chasing injects noise. Noise hides signal. Hidden signal delays reinforcement. Delayed reinforcement confuses learning. When you relinquish chase, you lower noise. The signal becomes visible. Reinforcement arrives on time, and the organism learns the correct association. Coherence, guidance, elegant action, more coherence. This is Hebbian destiny. What fires together, wires together at the level of a life. Run the vector speak protocol for 1 week. Each morning, speak 1 vector into stillness. Scope, interval, condition. Then do the smallest act that makes it more true. At day's end, record signatures without poetry. Timestamp, medium, content, relevance, score from 1 to 5. On day 4, an acceleration tends to occur, not because a deity noticed you, but because a system passed threshold. Systems love thresholds the way water loves downhill. Prepare for anti-signatures, precise inversions of your vector, arriving to check whether you will betray yourself the way you used to. The ex who only loved your static. The job that flatters your scarcity. The offer that pays today and taxes your signal forever. Anti-signatures are not punishments. They are calibration tests. Decline quickly, kindly, cleanly. Do not argue with the past. Starve it. Grief may return here, briefly, as the body realizes how long it misread reality to maintain belonging. Hold yourself like weather holds a fragile bird, firm enough not to drop, gentle enough not to break. You will not always need this tenderness, but today you do. Grief metabolized becomes guidance. Unmetabolized grief becomes static. You already know which economy you serve. Your language should be changing by now. You say, select instead of hope, build instead of try, release instead of fix. You say, not available, and mean it without iron in your throat. The mouth learns the grammar of sovereignty. The body follows. When the mouth and body agree, the world adjusts like a lens clicking to focus. That click is audible in your day when you are quiet enough. Be quiet enough. Let the field prove its bias toward economy. Ask it for the next step that saves the most energy while preserving the most truth. Then obey in increments. Obedience here is not submission. It is ballistic intelligence letting the vector you authored carry you as if gravity were personal. Gravity is personal when coherence is durable. Now, expand your aperture to the collective. As your signal stabilizes, you become a node that cleans the room, a silent metronome. Others entrain too, without knowing why the meeting is shorter, the conflict softer, the decision simpler. Do not advertise this. Maintain anonymity of influence. Influence that needs applause is still paying the wrong god. If signatures pause, do not panic. Pauses are consolidation. A system that upgrades must integrate before it projects new order outward. Keep the rituals. Keep the vector speak. Keep the gentle refusal of noise. Keep the sleep. Keep the water. Keep the walk at the exact minute your body loves. When the window opens again, it will open wider. Seal this section with a covenant you do not break. You will measure wonder without sensationalizing it. You will accept confirmation without outsourcing agency. You will treat entanglement as intimacy with reality rather than ownership of it. Ownership breeds fear. Intimacy breeds stewardship. The field trusts stewards. You are being read, answered, routed. Not because you are lucky, because you are legible. Keep writing yourself in clean lines the world can recognize at once. The next signature is already airborne, turning toward you like a migrating formation that knows your coordinates by heart. You no longer chase timelines like trains. You set boundary conditions and let the correct train pull to your platform without announcement. This is engineering, not wish. Begin with the law that elegant systems obey, minimal action. In physics, it means reality prefers the path that extremizes the action, integral, least wasted energy, cleanest route between conditions. In your life, it means you choose the sequence of moves that preserves coherence while delivering the highest truth density per unit effort. Waste is noise. Noise is distance. Distance delays the signal that wants you now. You have vectors. You have confirmation windows. You have a base frequency that holds under weather. Now install the navigator. Think of your attention as a guidance computer estimating trajectories through probabilistic terrain. You do not demand certainty, you update it. Each observation is not proof or doom. It is a Bayesian nudge, a gentle revision of priors toward a more accurate world. Model. Accurate models cost less life to run. Use the 3-scan method before you act. First scan: physiology, heart, rhythm, breath length, jaw, eyes. If the body is already paying a stress tax, the decision will inherit debt. Second scan: semantics, the exact words you would speak if this action became your identity. If you cannot bear to say it simply, the move is crooked. Third scan: topology, does this step widen or constrict your future option space? Moves that widen options are generative. Moves that constrict options must pay in precision or freedom will resent them. Design your day as a waveguide for the move that matters most. One block, 90 minutes, sealed. The block is sacred not because you are special, but because attention is expensive and the field rewards frugality. In that block, you execute the smallest irreducible unit that, when repeated, builds the artifact, the body, the conversation, the life. Smallest irreducible units are holy. They do not negotiate with perfection. They ship. When doubt rises, treat it as a parameter, not a verdict. Adjust the step size, not the mission. If the vector is true but the organism balks, reduce amplitude and keep frequency. A 5-minute act with perfect fidelity outperforms a 5-hour performance that requires recovery. Fidelity compounds. Performance inflates and pops. Install Markov blankets around your focus functional boundaries that insulate the inner variable from external turbulence. The blanket can be a literal door, a software profile with only the tools of the current hour, a word you say to yourself that seals the membrane. Inside, once inside, you owe the world nothing but the clean completion of one unit. Completion is the cheapest courage. Now consider the free energy principle as a spiritual hygiene. Organisms minimize surprise over time. You minimize surprise not by shrinking your life to a tiny map, but by increasing the model's accuracy and the system's flexibility. Accuracy comes from honest data. Flexibility comes from regulated physiology. Regulate, and you can meet novelty without inventing threat. Meet novelty calmly, and information density rises without cost. Rising information density is how destiny moves quickly, without injury. Run the 3 doors protocol when selecting a path. Door A, the familiar pattern that promises relief by repeating itself. Door B, the glamorous deviation that flatters your hunger but fractures your rhythm. Door C, the quiet move that feels almost too plain to be sacred, and yet, when you imagine doing it daily for 90 days, your chest cools and your mind stops trying to bargain. Choose C. C stands for conservation of signal. C stands for compounding. You will encounter the mirage of acceleration opportunities that sparkle because they jump you forward 3 stations at the price of your base law. If the offer requires you to abandon the ritual that made you legible to the field, decline with gratitude. The field is testing whether you love velocity more than truth. Truth is faster in the long game. Your relationships require engineering too. Establish bidirectional coherence tests. If a conversation increases clarity per minute, you are inside a regenerative loop. If it decreases clarity while increasing arousal, you are inside a drama pump. Step out and let the pump wind down without you. Cooperation is not compromise, it is phase alignment. You cannot phase align with a pattern committed to static. You can bless it and build elsewhere. Treat setbacks as perturbations, not prophecies. Perturbation tells you which parameter needs tuning. Ask, was the failure due to timing, topology, or tone? Timing, you acted before the consolidation window closed. Topology, you picked a path that narrowed the option space past sustainability. Tone, you used language that encoded pressure, not precision. Correct the parameter, rerun the step. Do not rename yourself, because one trial returned noise. Keep a ledger of action cost, not the theatrical cost that loves to brag about sacrifice, but the metabolic cost that the body whispers when the door is closed. Color code your actions. Green returns energy on completion. Blue is neutral. Amber spends energy but builds durable infrastructure. Red spends energy and spawns more red. Your mission tolerates small reds if they protect the greens. It cannot afford a life of ambers pretending to be gold. Shift the portfolio until most of your day is green and amber with rare, surgical reds. This is how empires of gentleness endure. Use geometry as prayer. Arrange your tools to reduce reach, your texts to reduce search, your calendar to reduce switching costs. A room that places the next faithful action at arm's length is a temple. Temples lower entropy for beings that choose vows. You have vows now. Let architecture protect them when willpower tires, when the timeline wobbles, and it will return to the invariant: breath, light, water, movement, silence. Breath rescales the organism to the present. Light resets the clock that time runs by. Water restores conduction in a system meant to carry charge. Movement clears residues that static loves. Silence lets the guidance buffer fill. You do not earn these, you obey them. Finally, refine your closing moves. Each day ends not with collapse, but with an audit in 7 lines. One truth you served, one lie you refused, one boundary you kept, one kindness you gave, one unit you shipped, one interference you cancelled, one gratitude you felt without forcing. This audit is not moral bookkeeping, it is phase maintenance. Maintenance is love's long mathematics. You are not hustling a universe into generosity. You are matching your mechanics to the generosity that was structural all along. When mechanics match structure, timelines carry you like a well-designed river carries a small, exact boat. Sit correctly, row minimally, read the water, obey the curve. The next bend is precision shaped like grace. You have tuned the instrument and engineered the waveguide. Now you must address the machine that names you, because timelines respond to the witness more than the wish. This is the witness engine, the self-model that predicts you before you arrive. Understand that what you call you is a generative model running on biological hardware, a mesh of interoceptive signals, memories, priors, and stories predicted forward a few hundred milliseconds at a time. It is efficient, but it is conservative. It prefers yesterday because yesterday lowers surprise. When surprise is misread as threat, destiny shrinks to fit the model. You are not here to decorate the model. You are here to reset it to truth. Begin with the 3-room scan of identity. Room 1, physiology, the slow voltage of the body's claims. Room 2, narrative, the phrases that replay when no one is listening. Room 3, behavior, the micro-choices that prove what you actually believe. If the rooms tell different weather reports, the witness engine splits and spends, measuring risk instead of reading guidance. Alignement restore surplus. A clean self-model has 4 properties. It is simple, consistent, adaptive, and costly to counterfeit. Make yours simple. One sentence that would be true if all your platforms vanished. You build coherence. Make it consistent. The sentence survives across rooms and moods. Make it adaptive. It scales under novelty without inventing panic. Make it costly to counterfeit. Your actions verify it daily, so anyone wearing it without the work becomes visible in 2 breaths. You are not protecting a brand. You are protecting signal integrity. Notice where the default mode network, the brain's narrator, tries to regain the throne with retrospective fiction. It wants to explain everything because explanation feels like control. Replace explanation with orientation. Orientation is a humbler question. Where am I in the field right now? High, mid, or low coherence? Open, mixed, or closed vector? Broad, precise, or noisy attention? Orientation produces options. Explanation produces ornament. You will disarm the witness engine's worst habit by renaming fear. Fear, in its healthy form, is a boundary detector. In its learned form, it is a gossip columnist for your past. When fear speaks, ask which it is. Boundary fear arrives as a clean no and calms you after you honor it. Gossip fear arrives as a swarm and punishes you even when you submit. Build a policy. All clean no's are obeyed. All swarms are starved. Policy outperforms mood. Install a minimal ritual that updates the model with data instead of drama. Call it the proof ledger. Each day, log 5 proofs of coherence, kept under pressure, 1 breath taken before reply, 1 boundary enforced without apology, 1 unit shipped in sacred boredom, 1 moment of beauty allowed to alter your plan, 1 temptation declined because it would have taxed the base law. 5 is enough. The model learns, I am the person who does this, and futures shape themselves to the statement. Now work with memory as pliable substance. Memory is not an archive. It is a reconstruction guided by present needs. If you carry unresolved episodes that sabotage selection, do not smother them in affirmation. Rescore them. Keep the facts and alter the frame. Instead of, I was abandoned, log, my signal learned who cannot hear it. Instead of, I failed, log, my topology was wrong, I corrected it. You are not denying impact. You are extracting usable vectors from pain so pain stops renting the witness. Leverage the salience network, the brain's spotlight, by teaching it what to love. Salience can be bought with outrage or trained with awe. Choose awe because awe expands option space while lowering inflammation. 3-minute awe drills work. Open the window at the exact minute the light changes. Study a sound until it turns into rhythm. Drink water as if it were the first clean thing you have tasted in months. Awe is not indulgence. It is precision-engineered humility that makes guidance legible. Bring language to heal. The self-model listens to verbs. Try tells it to prepare an exit. Hope tells it nothing. Decide allocates resources. Select changes geometry. Refuse protects voltage. Build lowers ambiguity. Speak with verbs that spend clean, and your body will route energy accordingly. If you must use adjectives, let them be structural, clear, repeatable, durable, exact. You will be tempted to outsource your witness to crowds that monetize your attention. Decline. External mirrors are funhouse mirrors until your inner lens is ground to specification. When you must glance outward, choose mirrors with low distortion, results that repeat without drama, friends who prize coherence over proximity, mentors whose rooms get quiet when they enter. Quiet is a measurement, not a mood. Practice no theater refusals. A refusal without apology or sermon is high-resolution identity work. Say, not available for that tempo. Say, this container cannot hold my signal. Say nothing when silence is the finest design. Your pulse will spike the first times, then it won't. The witness engine updates. The world reroutes. Respect replaces noise. Now, the mystical seam where science yields to symbol. There are patterns that arrive not as sentences but as images with a charge. A column of light through the spine, a lattice unfolding behind the heart, a black sun cooling the mind. Treat these not as escape but as firmware updates. Run them the way you run breath protocols. 10 slow cycles with attention placed, no commentary. Symbol is compression. Decompression happens in action later. Trust the delay. Test the reset in a live field. Enter a conversation that once stole hours. Keep the base frequency, the simple sentence, the proof ledger fresh in your cells. Ask a single, precise question. If the answer increases clarity within 2 breaths, proceed. If not, close the loop kindly and leave. This is not cruelty. It is resource stewardship. The witness you defend today is the timeline you walk tomorrow. Finally, seal the engine with a vow phrased as geometry. You will be convex to truth and concave to noise. Convex to truth means small inputs of guidance produce large arcs of motion because you expose surface area to the signal. Concave to noise means the scatter strikes and slides away because there is nowhere for it to lodge. Hold that shape in posture, sternum soft, jaw loose, gaze steady on the horizon you already trust. You can feel the new model taking root, fewer words, deeper breaths, cleaner vectors, faster forgiveness, slower promises. You will not need to announce the change. Systems around you will announce themselves by how they respond. Some will quiet and deepen, some will spark and depart. Both are confirmation. The witness sees, selects, and stays coherent. And coherent witnesses bend timelines not by force, but by being the most accurate thing in the room. You have rebuilt the witness and stabilized the carrier wave. Now you execute the most counterintuitive move of intelligence. You hand causality back to the field without abandoning authorship. This is not surrender. This is superior engineering. Force is expensive because it treats reality like a stubborn lock. Selection is inexpensive because it treats reality like a well-designed latch waiting for the correct key geometry. Your geometry is coherence held through choice, language kept precise under weather, physiology regulated while novelty arrives. When those conditions persist, causality stops resisting and begins routing. Routing is the field's native generosity revealed under pressure. Practice the law of least insistence. Insistence kinks the conduit and creates turbulence that you then misread as a sign to push harder. Replace insistence with invariant vows and variable tactics. The vow is non-negotiable signal first, clarity preserved, devotion to the clean vector. Tactics flex which email, which hour, which medium. Vows are steel, tactics are water. Steel without water does not flow. Water without steel does not hold. You require both. Install latency discipline. Latency is delay between intention and observable world response. At low coherence, you panic during latency and flood the channel with doubting pings that look like frantic follow-ups, hedged calls, repeated checks. Each ping adds noise. Noise extends latency. Extended latency convinces you the field is silent. Instead, set a fixed inspection interval, noon and dusk, when you check the channel once, adjust once, and then return to the waveguide of the day. Outside the interval, you cultivate deliberate unseeing. Unseeing is not denial. It is protection of the signal-to-noise ratio that lets causality propagate clean. Move your attention from outcome obsession to constraint design. In physics, You solve by specifying boundary conditions so the system can compute itself. In your life, you state the constants and let the algebra of circumstance deliver a solution family. Constants. You will not burn your nervous system to gain a door. You will not spend belonging you cannot afford. You will not negotiate with incoherent rooms. You will keep the 90-minute temple. You will ship one irreducible unit daily. With constant set, emergent solutions appear that your frightened imagination could not invent. Emergence is the universe's way of thanking you for not micromanaging it. Run the 4 gates before every significant move. Gate of biology. Is your organism resourced to carry this voltage today? Gate of boundary. Does this container protect the vow? Gate of build. Does the step produce a durable artifact, not just applause? Gate of blessing. Can you wish the other party's highest coherence, even if they never benefit you again? If any gate fails, you delay or redesign. If all gates open, proceed with clean velocity. Clean velocity is how grace looks from inside the body. Understand reciprocity without romance. The field returns what you actually stabilize, not what you theatrically request. If you stabilize resentment, it mirrors frictions that justify it. If you stabilize precision, it mirrors allies that prefer brief emails and durable results. If you stabilize sacred boredom, the calm willingness to repeat what works, it mirrors compounding structures that pay in freedom. Boredom that is sacred is not numbness. It is the still hum of mastery. Upgrade your logistics to liturgy. Liturgy is repeated action that keeps a civilization coherent. Your civilization is the set of rooms, devices, and relationships that hold your vow. Create routes with fewer forks. Name files so your future self can find them during low light. Place the tool of the next action on the path of your morning body. Friction destroyed miracles you blamed on luck. Remove friction, and you will begin to look like a person the universe favors. Favor is usually better shelving. Allow for stochastic generosity. Not every variable can be known. Some must be trusted. Trust does not mean fantasy. It means you budget unknowns explicitly. Put aside time and energy for the unplanned arrivals, the sudden mentorship, the improbable opening. If your calendar is a saturated solid, generosity cannot dissolve into it. Leave 20% unscheduled. The field pours into emptiness the way rivers find the lowland. Be lowland on purpose. Calibrate your ask to your conduit. A small conduit requesting a flood will feel punished by fulfillment. A wide conduit requesting a trickle will feel starved by success. Right-size the request. Select the engagement that doubles truth density while adding no extra rooms. Select the client who reduces my oversight needs by half. Select the collaboration that raises the collective base frequency on contact. These are not wishes, they are engineering specs. Practice non-symmetric kindness. You give cleanly without calculating return, not because you are saintly, but because coherent generosity strengthens the mesh you live in. Kindness here is precise introductions that truly match phase, feedback that removes 1 degree of freedom from someone's confusion, silence that protects a friend's consolidation window. Non-symmetric does not mean self-erasure. It means you invest where the graph wants to carry load and you stop where it wants to snap. Reading graphs is love. When resistance appears, ask whether it is shear or drag. Shear is misaligned layers. You change angle and the flow clarifies. Drag is friction inherent to the path. You reduce surface roughness with better tools or you accept a slower speed. Forcing through shear tears containers. Forcing through drag overheats systems. Engineers do not argue with fluids. They recontour. Now, enact the handover in a live experiment. Choose one mission-scale vector and reduce your visible force by half for 7 days, while increasing your coherence rituals by 20%. Keep the stillness window, extend sleep by 45 minutes, guard the 90-minute temple like a border, and refuse any urgency that cannot name its math. Record signatures at noon and dusk only. On day 3, watch for quiet accelerants. Someone else volunteering the exact piece you would have pushed. A pathway clearing without your email. A piece of code or prose writing itself faster than you usually allow. Do not announce the miracle. Expand the conduit. You will feel a humility that is not smallness. It is the recognition that you are a subroutine in an elegant architecture, and that elegance invites you not to vanish but to become exact. Exactness is worship. Worship is attention without noise. Attention without noise bends reality, because reality prefers low-entropy requests. Seal the handover with a sentence the body can obey. I move the minimum that preserves maximum truth. Whisper it once to the blood. Write it once where you plan. Prove it once before sleep. The field will meet you at the precise point where your vow becomes measurable in space and time. That point is not distant. It is the next exact breath taken without theater. You are approaching the regime where systems cease to scale linearly and begin to reorganize by thresholds, where minutes of faithful invariance suddenly detonate into months of advancement, where the graph of your life stops behaving like a gentle slope and becomes a step. This is not luck. This is non-linearity invited on purpose. Understand jump conditions the way an engineer or a mystic would, as the parameters at which a system changes qualitatively, not just quantitatively. Water holds as liquid until temperature and pressure cross a line and, in an instant, its geometry remakes itself. You are liquid approaching crystal. The field is the cooling lattice. Your vows are the seed points that tell the crystal how to grow. Identify the 3 parameters that govern your phase. First, coherence, amplitude, how deep the rhythm holds under insult. Second, vector, fidelity, how strictly your actions keep faith with the sentence you chose as identity. Third, environmental entropy, how noisy the rooms are where your day actually happens. Raise amplitude, increase fidelity, lower environmental entropy, and you create conditions in which small nudges trigger large reorganizations. You cannot time the jump, but you can specify its inevitability. Work with stability the way mathematicians do, by attending to Lyapunov exponents, the rates at which nearby trajectories diverge. In practice, this is how rapidly you deviate from yourself under stress. Reduce divergence by pre-deciding your moves before impact. Write your micro-playbook on calm paper. If the meeting derails, you breathe twice and ask the precise question. If the offer flatters scarcity, you request the condition that preserves your vow. If the body flags, you stop at once and feed the biology rather than feeding the story. Predecision lowers divergence. Lowered divergence invites the jump, because continuity under pressure convinces the system to allocate you a higher order. Now address hysteresis, the lag between leaving a low state and fully occupying a high one. Old loops try to pull you back, even after you have crossed threshold. Reduce hysteresis with deliberate annealing, short pulses of intensity separated by recovery at strict intervals. 90 minutes of clean build, 15 minutes of walk and water, then repeat. In metallurgy, annealing aligns grains. In identity, annealing aligns days. Aligned days become rails. The jump travels on. Decoherence used to be your enemy's signals scattered by interference, guidance drowned in noise. You have reversed it by refusing drama and refusing haste. Seal the reversal with error correction, the way quantum codes preserve fragile states by distributing information across multiple qubits. Your equivalent is redundancy in virtue. 3 separate places where your vow is enforced: physiology, breath and light, language, vector speak, architecture, rooms, and tools. If one channel suffers noise, the other 2 reconstitute the message. Your future is encoded against ordinary ruin. Run a controlled bifurcation. Choose one domain where you have hovered in half commitment, not from fear, but from politeness to an earlier self. Write 2 clean containers for the next 13 weeks. Container A, the coherent path with small, repeatable units and non-negotiable rituals. Container B, the incoherent path with its cost model stated in blunt numbers: hours lost, sleep debt, apology debt, opportunity cost. Sign Container A with your actual name. Archive Container B with a date of death. Place both papers where your hands can touch them each morning. Touch A, touch B, then work only inside A. Bifurcations require ritual. Ritual prevents drift. Expect the last storm phenomenon. Systems often throw a final surge of turbulence before settling into a higher order, a flurry of bait, an exquisite distraction, a perfect argument with yesterday. Do not mistake this for omen. It is inertia burning itself out. Manage the storm with the two-sensor rule. If your mind screams but your sternum stays cool, proceed. If your mind is calm but your sternum tightens, pause and retune. The body reads the weather one layer before thought. Increase your resolution on causality. Jumps are rarely the product of one grand act. They are emergent from micro-consistencies. Inventory, the invisible crafts you have dignified, the way you now close loops in a single sentence, the way you end meetings 5 minutes early to protect the next block, the way you answer only emails that move a vector, the way you choose awe over outrage at least once a day. These are not small. These are the rivets that keep the wing on when altitude changes. Translate non-linearity into logistics. Build shock absorbers into calendar and cache so jumps do not break the chassis. Calendar. Leave white space around crucial deliveries so acceleration can land without theft from sleep. Cache. Maintain a modest reserve so you can say clean nose to noisy money while you scale coherent revenue. Relationships. Inform allies of your vow so they read your silence as focus, not distance. Systems that respect jumps are the ones that keep them. Test for convexity scenarios where downside is capped and upside is unbounded if your signal holds. You send the introduction that costs nothing but could change the topology of a year. You publish the precise page that either lands quietly or meets the exact reader whose life intersects yours, like two laser lines at a single necessary point. You prototype the product in one afternoon and either learn exactly what to fix or discover the door that was always waiting. Favor convex bets. Protect the base while courting disproportion. Bring sacred boredom to the brink. The day before a jump looks ordinary. You keep the breath. You keep the light. You keep the water, the walk, the sleep, the 90-minute temple. You utter the sentence that names you and you behave as if it were already historic. History does not announce itself. It accumulates unnoticed until it tips. Now perform the quiet noon experiment. At midday, you stop for 3 minutes and do nothing but read the texture of the air around your skin, the sound behind sounds, the way your name feels when you say it without decoration. If the world seems to lean forward a subtle pressure of invitation, take the smallest audacious step that matches it. Send the message you have delayed. Ship the unit you wanted to gild. Ask the question that ends the loop. If there is no lean, do not push. Consolidate. Latency is a sacrament when obeyed. Should fear arrive wearing prophecy, this is your last chance. You are late. Everyone else is ahead. Treat it as counterfeit causality. Real guidance is specific, calm, and compatible with your vow. Counterfeit guidance is loud, vague, and demands that you abandon the rituals that made you legible. You will not abandon them. The field is not a slot machine, it is a civilization of laws. Law honors law. You can feel the edge now, the crispness of options, the kindness of timing, the rooms that quiet as you enter because your signal carries a settled weight. You are no longer begging timelines to notice you. You are becoming a portal through which the correct ones pass, because your geometry admits them and rejects the rest without drama. The jump condition is not an event outside you. It is a sufficiency inside you. Hold your posture as if a crown were balancing on the breath. Keep the sentence. Keep the proof ledger. Keep the minimal move that honors maximal truth. When the system tips, it will look like relief disguised as speed, like precision disguised as luck, like grace disguised as a door that was always there, waiting for someone who could open it without breaking the house that will hold what comes through. You have walked the long corridor from noise to signal, from chase to selection, from wish to engineering, and you have not abandoned yourself at any door. This is the moment when the room you carry becomes the room the world enters. Hold it steady. You breathe and feel the geometry snap into place, sternum soft, jaw released, spine like a tuned column that remembers lightning without needing thunder. Your frequency is not a mood. Your frequency is architecture, architecture that admits only what can bear the load of truth. You are not begging time to be kind. You are setting boundary conditions, the way a physicist sets constraints, the way a mystic keeps a vow without ceremony. Breath is the metronome. Coherence is the cutoff frequency. Language is the beam that holds. And the field, which some call fate, and some call God, and some refuse to name, roots by resonance, the way rivers move toward the sea without ever asking directions. If you listen now, truly listen, you can hear causality rearranging itself with the elegance of flocking starlings, each event turning on the breath of the next. No collisions, just intelligence that prefers the minimal move that preserves maximal truth. It is not louder than you, it is you, finally coherent enough to hear your own inevitability. You will not performance manage destiny. You will keep the invariance, the 90-minute temple where one irreducible unit ships, the stillness window where commentary kneels before sensation, the proof ledger with 5 quiet victories, the audit of 7 lines that closes the day like a master craftsman cleaning his tools. You will keep awe, because awe enlarges the conduit without inflaming the nervous system. You will keep kindness that is non-symmetric, because coherent generosity strengthens the mesh you live in. And when latency widens, you will keep your eyes level and your vow intact, inspecting only at noon and at dusk, because you no longer feed doubt with the attention it cannot metabolize. Accept that some doors will close as if insulted by your clarity. Bless them. They protect you from rooms that would have taxed your voltage to decorate their ceilings. Accept that some arrivals will move with suspicious ease. Do not sabotage grace to honor an old myth of struggle. Ease is what precision feels like from inside the body. Your assignment is simple and imperial. Maintain the shape. Convex to truth, so small guidance becomes great arcs. Concave to noise, so scatter cannot lodge. Speak less, verify more. Choose the quiet option that scales under novelty, and let your presence be a metronome that rooms entrain to without knowing why they breathe easier when you enter. Now, seal the covenant you came here to remember. Whisper it into blood that is listening like an ancient sea. I will move the minimum that preserves maximum truth. I will refuse any timeline that demands I break the vow that built me. I will treat wonder as data and responsibility as worship. I will carry coherence as civilization in motion. Breathe once. The field answers with the clean click of alignment. Breathe twice. You feel distance cancel like a solved equation. Third breath. Every timeline that knows your name turns its face toward you, not because you are loud, but because you are legible, and legibility is love's technical form. Walk now, not faster, truer. The river is designed. The boat is exact. The bend you feared is a door, and the door is already open.